This is in reference to Dr. Paul Krugman's article in the New York Times, Monday, February 16th, 2015, the Weimar on the Aegean. And of course, I again applaud Dr. Krugman for bringing up things that's not directly related to the United States economic situation, but as an indicator that there are a lot of things that are going on throughout the world, especially in Europe, which we need to pay very close attention to. And this is the fact that Greece has elected a new representative. They're progressive, they're leftist, they don't want to pay back all the money that they owe all the banks in Germany and in other areas. They've been under very severe austerity measures. They borrowed too much money, we agree with that. They've gotten rid of that government. But besides borrowing the money, guess what? Somebody lent them the money. Somebody lent them the money knowing that the standing that Greece could actually pay that stuff back was not on good footing. So it's like a two-way street, but no, do you want to blame the banks? No, none of that at all. So the Weimar obviously refers to the fact that 1923, something like that, after World War I, Britain and France had wanted a tremendous amount of reparations from Germany, so that the inflation had gotten so high, so apparently that you couldn't even buy a loaf of bread unless you had a wheelbarrow full of cash. So that's a comparison, but what Dr. Krugman likes to point out is that, Greece has suffered a tremendous amount. Greece's GDP went down 26% from what was it, 2007 to 2013 or 14. Whereas in the Republic of Germany, their GDP had gone down 29% from 1913 to 1919, which is a 6-year period. Also, of course, that coincided with the war. But then again, after the war, it took them a long time to get going again. At the same time, they had trouble rebuilding their industry because they didn't have any money, because any excess money they had to go back into war reparations. So, that cycle keeps going, and that's the cycle that Dr. Krugman is talking about, is that right now, outside of the inflation aspect of what they need to pay back, Greece is able to pay back about 1.5% above. They are running about a 1.5% surplus. Outside of the inflation aspect of it, but the people who want to turn the screws to Greece, saying that they need to pay back the money faster, are basically saying that you need to pay double that, to about 3%. And what happens then? Then they don't. That means there has to be more austerity cuts. They have to cut back on government services. That means they're collecting less money. That means that they can't. That means that they can't pay back more, which means they have to cut more. So the cycle just keeps on going and going. As I like to say, this is something, we know what happens. And we know that this is what the cycle that keeps on going. You can't pay the elevated amount, so you have to decrease services. By decreasing services, you're decreasing the amount of the tax base that you can collect back on, so you're paying less from the amount that you owe. It's a cycle that keeps on going. In some terms, we call that denial. We know the denial that we know that this can't keep on going like this. We have to have some type of flexibility. There needs to be some type of adjustment here. There may need to be some, Greek may need to be under some pressure to continue to pay things back over a period of time, but they'll never be able to pay it back now and under the conditions that it's in, because this is the cycle that's going to keep on going. And as I like to say, that's the aspect of denial, because denial, as we know, is not a river in Egypt. So the spending cuts just keep on going. It hurts the government. It goes around and around. It keeps going back. And also, Dr. Krugman points out that 3%, if you take the surplus, which they are paying back, of 1.5%, then they wanted to pay back 3%, but because of the way it really works in terms of what monetary aspect of it is 8%. Again, that's way, way too much for something like Greece. And Greece, again, is not a very big player in the whole European scene. So it's not like you can't absorb it. It's not like you have to absorb it. I'm not advocating it either way, but it can take place over a greater period of time than is going right now. And of course, but Greece is now threatening possibly to get out of the euro, and of course, if they do, then they're going to be able to say that they can't borrow any type of money, and the Greek banks can't borrow money back, meaning Greece can't issue any type of bonds, any type of debt, because the Greek banks can't borrow any money from any of the other banks. So again, the vicious cycle would start all over again. Dr. Krugman hopes that there will be some flexibility. They didn't show any flexibility with my alma country. Ireland, because Ireland back in 2010 was forced to take down some severe austerity measures. They still have a very high unemployment rate. Their youth unemployment rate is still high in Ireland. I don't know how much they fully have recovered or not recovered, but they basically indicated, the EUC basically indicated, the European Commission basically indicated that that they would collapse the Irish government, the Irish monetary system. So the threat was much greater back then. Greece has basically said, we've suffered so goddamn much. We can't do it anymore. We're mad. We can't take it anymore. And of course, Dr. Krugman indicates, let's hope that the European Commission can go ahead and accept something like that they can accept maybe a little bit less over a longer period of time, let Greece get back on its feet, put measures in place so that these things won't happen anymore, and maybe we can go along. Now, one of the reasons why I really want to applaud Dr. Krugman to continue to bring this up is this can affect the United States. I'm not saying it's affecting the United States right now, but if the euro were to go down, if there were to be problems with the euro, if more countries wanted to get out of the euro because Greece got out of the euro, if the banking system couldn't hold, if Greece collapsed because of the European Central Bank wouldn't let the banks, the Greece banks, raise any money, borrow money. So there's a lot of things can happen, and it's good that Dr. Krugman is pointing this out because we need to keep in touch that these things happen in other areas. There's a lot of instability going on. Libya just got bombed by Egypt. We got plenty of problems in the Middle East. We got Putin, who really doesn't want a ceasefire, but and I like to point out, and then behind all of this, there's China, who's watching every single thing going on and finding the right time when they want to screw with the United States on something else, somewhere else in the world. So we need to keep a track of all of these things, and it's very, very important that this monetary aspect, this economic aspect that Dr. Krugman is pointing out in Europe, is noted by us, is monitored by us, is watched by us, so that we can make any type of contingency plans that we need to make, and that as part of this whole thing, let's just hope that Greece can crawl its way out, can move up faster, can get out of the economic debts it's in without having to be part of being able to still be part of the euro, to be able to borrow money on the open market, to be able to issue debt, to be able to grow their economy. I hope that can continue to happen, and I hope that the European Central Bank will be flexible in those regards.